Today, Hyundai and Kia cars can be seen on roads in nearly every country in the world. But it wasn't always that way. Just half a century ago, South Korea was a poor agricultural nation with no auto industry of its own. What makes its story remarkable is the speed of its transformation, from assembling foreign vehicles to becoming one of the world's leading automakers. How did a small country that had once been devastated by war and poverty manage to challenge and even surpass the global automotive giants? This is the story of how South Korea's discipline, vision, and carrot-and-stick policies reshaped the global auto industry. After the Korean War between 1950 to 1953, South Korea was in ruins. The economy had collapsed, infrastructure lay in shambles, and most industrial capacity was left in the north. In 1960, South Korea's GDP per capita was among the lowest in the world, around $79 a year, lower than that of many African countries at the time. The nation survived primarily on agriculture and foreign aid. U.S. subsidies accounted for up to 80% of its national budget. It seemed impossible for South Korea to escape poverty and dependence. Then, in 1961, General Park Chung-hee seized power, a man who would later be called the father of South Korea's economic miracle. He understood that without industrialization, the country would remain stagnant. Park centralized power and introduced five-year economic plans focused on developing heavy industry and exports. The government supported only those companies that committed to export targets, failed to deliver, lose privileges, succeed, and you'd be rewarded with loans, tax breaks, and access to foreign technology. This carrot-and-stick approach created the foundation for South Korea's transformation. The miracle on the Han River had begun. The first steps, CKD assembly and the birth of an industry. In the early 1960s, South Korea's auto industry barely existed. In 1962, the entire country produced just 1,700 passenger cars, virtually nothing. To kickstart development, the government enacted the Automobile Industry Protection Law. It contained three crucial points: tax exemptions for assembly plants, zero import duties for parts, and a total ban on importing finished vehicles. At first, production was based on the CKD, completely knocked down system. Cars were imported as disassembled kits and reassembled locally. While this boosted domestic output, it also made South Korea dependent on foreign technology. To counter that, the government required companies to gradually increase local content year by year. Initially, only a few firms were licensed to operate. The first was Sonara Motors, which assembled Nissan Datsun Bluebird P310S under Japanese license. But high costs and limited demand doomed the project. It failed within a year. The government learned from this mistake and, by 1966, allowed more companies to compete, which energized the market. By the late 1960s, new players emerged. Kia began in 1961 building motorcycles under Honda license, later expanding into three-wheeled trucks in partnership with Mazda. Asia Motors was founded in 1966, while Hyundai Motor Company emerged in 1968 with support from Ford and later Mitsubishi. Shinjin Motors rose from Sonara's ashes through deals with Toyota and GM, and Hadonghuan Motor Company, future SsangYong, focused on military and commercial vehicles. By 1970, Korea had its Big Four automakers: Hyundai, Kia, Asia Motors, and Shinjin, plus a separate niche maker, SsangYong. Thanks to competition and state support, production skyrocketed. In 1962, South Korea made about 2,000 vehicles. By 1969, that number exceeded 30,000. Though none were exported yet, localization steadily increased, reaching over 20% by 1970. In 1973, Park's Heavy and Chemical Industry Program identified automotive manufacturing as a national priority alongside steel and shipbuilding. It was time for Korea to move from assembly to creation. Hyundai Pony, the turning point. In the mid-1970s, Hyundai set out to build a truly Korean car. Until then, it had been assembling the Ford Cortina. Founder Chung Ju-young dreamed of independence from foreign partners. In 1974, Hyundai hired George Turnbull, a former British Leyland engineer, to lead the project. He recruited a team of 5 British specialists, and the design was handled by Italy's Italdesign under Giorgetto Giugiaro. The engine and transmission came from Mitsubishi, and the platform from the Lancer. Unveiled at the 1974 Turin Motor Show, the Pony entered production in December 1975. It became South Korea's first domestically designed mass production car and its first export model. In 1976, Hyundai shipped the Pony to Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. Exports grew from 1,000 to 18,000 units in 2 years. Pony wasn't just a car, it was a statement. It proved that Korean engineers could design and build a competitive vehicle. For Hyundai, it became both a technical school and a springboard to the world market. Growth and crises, 1980s to 1990s. By the 1980s, South Korea's auto industry was booming. Hyundai dominated domestically and turned its eyes overseas. In 1985, the company introduced the Hyundai Excel, a compact front-wheel drive hatchback aimed at export markets. It became the first Korean car sold in the United States in 1986, and an instant hit. Priced under $5,000, the Excel shattered sales records with 168,000 units sold in its debut year. By 1988, South Korea was producing 1.3 million vehicles annually and exporting over 500,000. But rapid growth came at a cost. Quality issues plagued the Excel and other models. Rust, engine failures, poor reliability. Sales collapsed by the late 1980s, tarnishing Hyundai's reputation abroad. To recover, Hyundai and other Korean automakers invested massively in engineering, design, and quality control. In 1998, Hyundai launched a bold marketing move, a 10-year warranty in the US, signaling newfound confidence in its product. Meanwhile, the Asian financial crisis of 1997 struck like a hammer. The won crashed, credit dried up, and major conglomerates teetered. Kia Motors declared bankruptcy and was acquired by Hyundai in 1998. Daewoo Motors followed suit, going bankrupt in 1999 before being absorbed by General Motors in 2002. SsangYong changed owners multiple times. After the storm, only the strongest survived, and those survivors learned to build resilience and self-reliance. Hyundai Kia, from recovery to global dominance. The Hyundai-Kia merger created a powerhouse. By the late 2000s, the Hyundai Motor Group had become the world's fourth-largest automaker, surpassing Ford. Hyundai and Kia transformed their image from cheap Asian cars into stylish, reliable, and high-tech brands. They opened R&D centers in Europe and the US, hired renowned designers like Peter Schreier, and launched global bestsellers such as the Hyundai Sonata, Elantra, and Kia Sportage. Awards poured in. In 2009, the Hyundai Genesis sedan won North American Car of the Year, beating BMW and Lexus. Hyundai and Kia expanded globally, building factories in the US, Europe, India, and beyond. By 2010, Korean cars were sold in over 190 countries. The Hyundai-Kia alliance had officially arrived on the world stage. Genesis, Korea's luxury statement. In 2015, Hyundai launched its luxury division, Genesis. Like Lexus for Toyota, Genesis targeted the premium market, competing with BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi. The first flagship sedan, Genesis G90, debuted in late 2015, offering refined design, luxury materials, and cutting-edge tech. Soon followed the G80, G70, and the GV series SUVs. Genesis quickly earned praise worldwide. The G70 even won North American Car of the Year in 2018. With Genesis, South Korea proved it could play at the very top of the luxury market. The electric revolution, challenging Tesla, VW, and China. In the 2020s, the global auto industry entered a new era, electrification. Hyundai and Kia were among the first legacy automakers to fully commit. Their models, Hyundai Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, Kia EV6, and others, won global awards and acclaim. In 2023, Hyundai and Kia together became the second-largest EV sellers in the US, trailing only Tesla. The Ioniq 5 alone won World Car of the Year, World Electric Vehicle of the Year, and World Car Design of the Year in 2022. Meanwhile, competition intensified. Volkswagen dominated Europe's EV market, Tesla led in the US, and Chinese giants like BYD, NIO, and XPeng surged globally. Yet Korea remains a formidable contender. Hyundai is building a $5 billion EV plant in Georgia, investing $85 billion in electrification by 2030. Its goal, capture 12% of the global EV market. Korean automakers are also pioneering hydrogen fuel cells, Hyundai Nexo, and autonomous driving technology, rewriting the rules of the game. The story of South Korea's auto industry is one of the greatest economic turnarounds in modern history. In just 6 decades, it evolved from zero to global powerhouse. This was no accident. It was the result of vision, discipline, and relentless pursuit of excellence. Government policy provided the framework, but corporate ambition and national determination did the rest. Not all survived, some brands disappeared, others were absorbed. But those that endured, Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, rose stronger than ever. South Korea didn't just join the global auto race, it changed its rules. Today, Korean cars compete head-to-head with German, American, and Japanese vehicles, and often win. From CKD kits to cutting-edge electric vehicles, South Korea proved that with strategy, discipline, and ambition, even a war-torn nation can conquer the world's highways. South Korea put the global auto industry on its knees and taught it how to stand again.